are weighing in on the tragic shooting, including Harry Reid.
Think about this. The sanctity of a house of worship was violated as a gunman opened fire at a historically black Emmanuel AME church in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know how else to describe it. This individual was like a sheep in wolf's clothing. The thought of people who were in a house of worship being gunned down as they gathered to pray is heart-wrenching, devastating, and is the ultimate act of cowardice and hatred.
He is right about that, except I think he had it backwards about the whole sheep and the wolf. 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Let's go to line 1. Lisa is listening on KKOB in New Mexico. Lisa, this is John DePietro, and you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, I agree with the last caller on Obama not handling the nations correctly or healing them. I have noticed a rise in racism, not just with the blacks, but also with the whites and Hispanics. There's a lot of examples of that here in Santa Fe, but as far as gun control and him talking about that, that's not the answer. I think those parents should be held responsible for giving that guy the gun. Sick, mentally ill people should never be given a gun. And maybe a questionnaire should be given to people wanting to purchase a gun, along with whomever they'll be buying it for. And as far as Obama comparing us to other nations, we never had a problem like this until now, till he came into office. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for the call, Lisa. You have to admit, I mean, right now, folks, can you believe just how bad race relations are in this country? And this, we're not even into the summer months. All hell could break loose now. Let's go to line 4. Jody is listening on KSFO. Jody, you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello.
3 points. One, the witness said that he said, you're raping our women and taking over our country. This already shows a division in his mind, so a distinct race issue in his mind. Being a deranged individual, is also the biggest point in this tragedy that I can see. The gun was just a tool. He could have done it with a chainsaw or, any number of things. It's ridiculous to think that the gun was the problem.
Well, a couple things, Jody. Number one, I mean, there's no doubt, it was race. When someone walks in and says, I'm here to kill black people, that's race. The chainsaw argument, how come we don't hear about that? How come we don't hear about 9 people getting killed with a chainsaw? No, I think it's what one of the caller had said, and that is the parents. Obviously, the more we're learning about the alleged shooter, he's got patches that have to do with the apartheid. He's got a Confederate flag on his license plate. Here's a roommate saying, he was always making racist jokes. He said he wanted to start a civil war. And then he's on this drug, which they're saying can cause violent outbursts. This does not sound like someone who should be given a handgun, which apparently the father gave him for his birthday. But once again, all of that said, the president immediately jumps into comparing us to other nations, immediately trying to turn this into a gun debate, when a big part of this, I think, is the element of race that's going on right now. Do you think the president is healing the racial divide in the country or making it worse? I've yet to see a situation yet that we've had, either the riots or the police shootings or anything like that, where he's done anything to make things better, meaning the president. Always seems to inflame it and make it worse. What do you think? 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Let's go to line 8. Jeremy is listening on WBAP in Fort Worth. Jeremy, this is John DePietro, and you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello, Jeremy.
Hello. Just full disclosure, I'm a mental health professional in Fort Worth, and one of the things that I just want to kind of point out is that the overwhelming vast majority of racists don't kill. The overwhelming majority of people who are on drugs or abuse drugs don't kill. The problem is the overwhelming majority of killers kill. That's the issue here. I guarantee you, at that church, the moment that person walked in, people felt uneasy. But what do you do about it? See, that's the problem. And on some level, collectively, we have to take personal responsibility for how vulnerable we are simply from other human beings. And as far as comparing ourselves to other countries, I mean, let's be honest. Every other country, I mean, we're the least racist country on the planet for the most part. I mean, if you really look at it, and if you look at the violence between races and towards races in other countries, it may look a little bit different, but it's certainly much worse than it is here. The problem here is that we're so vulnerable, and, you know, our most vulnerable people live within gun-free zones. Now, I'm not saying that's the issue, but what I am saying is that people have to take personal responsibility for their own safety. We cannot rely on other people. We can't, you know, the overwhelming desire to have a reason why this happened is distracting us from the problem. Period.
Jeremy, you know what's interesting? You know, we when we talk about profiling, it always seems to be they feel, you know, whites are profiling, you know, blacks, African Americans, but you know, there could have been a profiling on the other side, and that is if you and I are sitting there, and we're black, and somebody walks in and they have a gaunt look in their eye, and they have that type of bowl haircut, which would, you know, and he's wearing patches about the apartheid, and he's got something in his pocket, and he's just acting odd, I would immediately profile him. I mean, everyone talks about the profiling. All of these gunmen, thank you for the call, Jeremy, that we've seen in the news, whether it be Michael Lanza or the you know, James Holmes in Colorado. I don't know about you, but I profile people constantly as far as how they look and how they act, and you know, he came in there and sat there for an hour and didn't. Again, I feel awful, and again, this is a Bible study, but didn't he seem odd, just kind of sitting there? And again, if you look at just the way he looks, he would make you uncomfortable. If I was working in a store and he came in, I would immediately be like, can we help you, or get security. Just on, you know, I don't care that he's white. It's just the way he's acting and the way he looks. The same way, if you look at the shooter, the killer in Arizona that shot Congressman Gabby Gifford, the moment you saw that guy, he looked nuts. And people that knew him around the campus said he was odd. And how about if James Holmes sat down next to you in a movie theater? I'd want to move my seat. I don't, you know, the profiling to me, it's not always going to have to be a race. It can be just behavioral, you know, the look they have in their eye, no matter what color they are. 1-855-400-SAVAGE, 1-855-400-7282. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. More of your phone calls ahead, because this is the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver. Call 800-BUI-COIN.
I am very, very pleased to announce that we have made an arrest in this case. We've arrested Dylan Roth, R-O-O-F, from Lexington, South Carolina. Approximately 30 minutes ago, he was arrested in Shelby, North Carolina, during a traffic stop.
I've had to make statements like this too many times. Communities like this have had to endure tragedies like this too many times. We don't have all the facts, but we do know that, once again, innocent were killed in part because someone who wanted to inflict harm had no trouble getting their hands on a gun. Now is the time for mourning and for healing. But let's be clear. At some point, we as a country will have to reckon with the fact that this type of mass violence does not happen in other advanced countries.
You're listening to the Savage Nation. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. That is President Obama speaking earlier in the day. Again, the phone number, 1-855-400-SAVAGE, talking about the tragic shooting in Charleston, South Carolina in the church. Let's go out to line 8. Doug is listening on WTMA in South Carolina. Doug, you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. As most of the nation, we were very shocked and deeply hurt with the loss of our fellow citizens here. I do know that our company that I work at, a major Fortune 500 company, very diverse work environment, and we all felt this impact. And we probably have 50% black, 50% white people there. And at 3 o'clock today, we went out and prayed together for the healing of our nation. And it was about a sick man. And the fact that at least what we got out here is, he was a deranged individual. And I'm offended in that the President of the United States is using this as a political opportunity to push his agenda when he's looking at not having all the facts. He's already made statements about how easy it is to get a gun. Well, he got his gun from his father. We don't know why, but he did.
Doug, did you ride by the church earlier? Are you familiar with the churches?
Yes, I am familiar. That's in downtown Charleston, and I don't go downtown too much. It's sort of very congested and hard to get to. So.
Do you see a number of people riding around with the Confederate flag on the license plate?
Not as much as I thought I would, and I moved out here from California about 13 years ago. And the ones that I do know, and, we call them a Bubba, it's about heritage. And I'll tell you one thing that I found very interesting when I moved out here. There is less racism in South Carolina than there is in California or in the Northeast. I have seen more interracial couples. I have seen more interracial events than I've ever seen in my life, and I was quite surprised.
Doug, thank you for the call. Let me go to line 4, and that's Peter listening on WTMA. He's also in South Carolina. Peter, you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello.
Oh, hey, John. Thanks for taking my call. So,
welcome.
I just wanted to make 3 quick gimmies and one unanswered question to this horrible event that's happened last night.
I'm gonna ask you to hold because I don't want to cut you off and I want to hear about it, but we want to give you enough time, and we'll give you enough time as well. Don't forget our website. It's michaelsavage.com. Again, 1-855-400-SAVAGE. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. You're listening to the Savage Nation.
At the conclusion of the Bible study, they just start hearing loud noises just ringing out. And the suspect had already wounded a couple of individuals. I'm one of the survivors, and she said that he had reloaded 5 different times. And her son was trying to talk him out of killing people. And he just said, I have to do it. You rape our women, and you're taking over our country. And you have to go.
You're listening to the Savage Nation. That was someone who spoke with an eyewitness, apparently in the church in Charleston, South Carolina. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. You can call into the program 1-855-400-SAVAGE, 1-855-400-7282. Don't forget about our website. It's michaelsavage.com. You can log on and get the latest news. Some of the headlines also right now on the website, Michael Savage Countdown to Mecca. But get the latest headlines. Charleston shooter was on drug linked to violent outbursts. Also, why doesn't hypocrite Pope sell Vatican art to feed the poor? In Oregon, 15-year-olds can get taxpayer-funded sex changes without parental consent. Also on the website, Sasha and Malia Obama hit the shops in Milan after jetting in from London on Air Force One. And then also, suspected ISIS sympathizer attacks New York City agents. How about more terrorists in the U.S. expected ahead of Independence Day? Those are just some of the headlines that you'll see once you log on to the website at michaelsavage.com. And then again, all the different links connected with those headlines. Some of the headlines on the Drudge Report. White man kills 9 at black church. Gunman captured. Gunman sat in the prayer meeting for an hour before opening fire. Killer speared 1 person. Tell world what happened. Black activists fear riots. Another killer on psych drugs. You can also see some of the latest headlines. Brian Williams. No nightly news. Instead, did they fire Brian Williams? Worse. Banished to MSNBC with a pay cut. And then a lot of different headlines on the Drudge Report regarding those running for president Headlines about the Pope